Good evening. Welcome to the June 27th meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh?
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Okay, if the clerk could call the roll, please.
Mr. Hurd?
Here.
Mr. Cole?
Here.
Mr. Phelan is absent. Is Winterfield?
Here.
Mayor Florence Lynch?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. We have no presentations for this evening, so I'm going to go right to reports from our volunteers. Are there any reports from volunteers serving our community? No one? Going once? Going twice? Okay. We also have no public hearings set for this evening.
I got public comment.
So, oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. So we're going to go right to public comment. If anyone in the audience would like to come to the microphone and address the council, please wait to be recognized. Anyone from the public? Okay. All right, since we have nothing there, we have no public hearings for this evening, so we're going to go straight to our ordinances for introduction. We have no ordinances to introduce this evening as well. So next we will go to resolutions for approval, and we have a few of those. So I'm going to ask Ms. Marsh to read through each resolution.
Beginning with Resolution 2017-124, authorizing release of designated escrow deposits. 125, authorizing release of deposits for construction in a township right-of-way. R 2017-126, approving the designated special event permit application, and that's for Luck of the Draw bull riding on July 27th. R 2017-127, approving the renewal of the designated alcoholic beverage control licenses. 128, awarding a contract for the Pequannock Skate Park to Wayne Ingram PE for the contract amount of $24,960 in accordance with bid specifications. R 2017-129, awarding a contract for the Mountain Avenue Water Storage Tank and Transmission Main Project to DN Tanks Incorporated for the contract amount of $2,443,176 in accordance with the bid specifications. And R 2017-130, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth on the June 22nd, 2017 bill list.
All right, thank you. Are there any comments from council members? Dave, Kathy, anything?
Good.
Everybody's good?
I like the bill, the bull riding. Where's that going to be?
That's, I believe, Carl Bauer's place, right? Yeah. He does that, that's not the first time.
Behind the Toyota
The
dealership.
equestrian.
In Pequannock.
Correct. He's done it before.
Carl.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, no one else? All right, is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 2017-124 through 130.
Can I have a second?
Second it.
Okay. Roll call?
Mr. Hurd?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Ms. Winterfield?
Yes.
Mayor Florence Lynch?
Yes. All right, next item on the agenda we have for items for discussion. The first one is policies and procedures for our committees. And then we'll talk about the appointments for the boards and commissions and committees. So who would like to take it away? Everybody read through, they saw our current policies. And we have a couple of new.
So I'd love to add, part of the policy is to get everybody on the same type of paperwork.
Yeah.
I think that.
And there's some
is very
samples in
important.
here.
Right.
Which I think is great. I mean, I think the policy is good. I think the chairs could do a better job at getting the information to the clerk's office. I'd like it, to get things posted.
Well, it's,
Because only one or two of the committees are really doing that. I'm
Yeah.
not seeing the stuff coming through and getting posted on the website, but I think that's because sometimes you're not getting the final approvals.
well,
minutes,
yeah, it's
agendas.
important that we at least follow, Robert's rules of
Mhm.
basic practices, and that we're actually getting minutes and approved minutes from each of them. So this way we have some kind of historic, black and white that anybody can go back to and take a look at. And I think that's also good for the committees if they have any questions on what they spoke about last year or what they spoke about 4 months ago, right, just for clarity. So I think that would be great.
Well, I agree with all that, but we should make in the procedure, are they coming to the clerk and the clerk's gonna post them, or some of them are posting them themselves? Some of them have their own websites. Should something in the policy be said, something about that
Yeah,
too?
I think everything really has to go through town, shouldn't it?
I would say so. I know in the past, and I know Tom's sitting in the audience, I know like the Environmental Commission, and there might be one or two others, that they've gone in and done some updates themselves, but I would like to see, go ahead,
The draft does address that.
yeah.
Down under roles and responsibilities of the committee chair, item C. The chair is supposed to provide agendas and approved minutes to
Right.
the clerk. So, I mean, they can certainly post them to their own
But they
site if they want. But as a central collection point, the clerk's office should be receiving them as
On a
soon as
regular
they're,
basis,
yes.
yeah.
So,
So we just need to reemphasize that with all of
Right,
our.
so that-
Yeah.
And that's, yeah, we did revise this list as a result of,
Discussion.
Ryan's comments and some of the things that we think should be part of, and, to identify whose responsibility is going to be to follow up to make sure that it's done. So,
That's easy enough.
So should it say committee chair or designee?
It
Does that
could
belong?
say, or
if they could make the chair I mean,
responsible
yeah,
for it.
for a committee that has a separate secretary, so it kind of has been delegated, but it's still up to the chair to
To
make
make
sure
sure it
that
happens, right?
going back and forth.
So on a monthly basis, it's the chair's responsibility to send the town the approved minutes from the prior month.
Right.
Okay.
Because we don't want them officially until they're approved.
Right. We don't need the back and forth. We just need the final approval.
To
Are we gonna
deliver
take one of
or
these for
cause
now?
to be delivered, there are board, like open space, they actually have a paid secretary.
Right.
Right.
That sends the minutes, and that's fine,
Yeah.
as long as it's delegated some way officially.
Fair housing. How about the first aid squad? Are they gonna have to follow this or?
They're
Probably
not
should.
an agency of.
Right. Okay.
What about, so here's another question. Under this, can we do once a quarter, twice a year, where we get at a council meeting or at a workshop meeting, where we can get all of the chairs of all of the committees together, so we can actually have a conversation of what all the different chairs are doing? So this way, Tom, I'm gonna pick on you.
Because he's here.
But let's say, Parks and Rec sees what's environmental or open space is doing, and they see what flood's doing, and, I mean, in the same room, so everybody's talking, and if Tom had a question for flood or open space or somebody else, I mean, you can have it right there. Can we do that at least twice a year?
That's a really good idea.
That could work. We talked about possibly having separate meetings with some of the groups along the way, but that never seems to happen, so maybe this is the way to make that happen.
I mean, there's a lot of things that,
Or cross,
right, well, we know, because we're on a lot of committees, but, I would love to get them all in the room together and,
yeah.
You want to do that as a council meeting, or do you want to set the chairs up as kind of a committee of chairs?
Because we've done it in the past.
Well,
To
I-
have them interact with each other.
that's really what I want. I would like to, well, two things. I would love to see the chairs, I want to have the chairs or the committees understand how important they are to us, right? As town council, there's only how many of us? We can only be at so many places at so many times, right? The committees, their responsibility is really to get the pulse of the town. We can only talk to so many people, but flood or open space or Parks and Rec, they can really find out, or my seniors, you know, what do the seniors actually need, and how can we actually improve their lifestyle or living or whatnot in this town? I think they need to understand how important that is.
And if you don't want to do it at a council meeting, then somebody needs to take the initiative to make sure it happens with the
Right.
chairs at an outside meeting where they collaborate, you know. the
That's why we
different
have all these
groups.
committees. We
And
need
we've done it before,
Yeah,
in
but
a
you know what,
couple of
Ryan, I
years
think
ago.
I think it's all really great ideas, and the one point you said though about like the first aid squad and stuff, I think that's a really good point, because they're very much just a part of us anyway, even if they're a separate entity, they're people who we have understandings with, right?
Right.
That having some kind of other meeting with all of them together, because flood interacts with the fire company and, you know, with the first aid squad, especially in an event, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there might
Maybe.
even,
You know, from an operational point, you know, the key people on the squad and fire, you know, are on our LEPC, which is Local Emergency Planning Council. They meet to kind of go over operational things. If there's policy stuff, I mean, you've got your liaisons that are supposed to be, you know, taking information to them and bringing the information back. So if there's need for a formal presentation, you know, the chair and a liaison, or the president and a liaison should be setting that up. One thing you might want to do is, you know, we tried to set it up, and we have a separate item on our agenda, is set up a annual schedule so that every committee chair comes before us once a year on a designated month. I don't think you want to do that all at once.
right, okay.
That'd be crazy.
Why not? Let's do
But-
it around Christmas.
No, but you're absolutely right, especially when you talk about flood and
But
overlap,
I
and
mean,
they want to
one
be
a month,
involved.
have them come and give a report about what they've been doing for the last year, you know, what they see as their, you know, role for the future year, and council can,
Well, they're supposed to do
provide
that, that's part
guidance.
of all their charters.
Is that in here? Like, do we
No, but
have
it's
that
part
in
of their
here?
charters that they come and they present once a year.
Right, well, present what they've done and also what their ideas are going forward that we can also help them with.
Yeah.
Like, how do we help them succeed?
Like the last council meeting, environmental came and spoke.
Right.
I mean, that, they're all have that in their, you know,
Well, I think there's a couple of things that we're doing here that's going to help improve, getting a formalized agenda, like a structured agenda that outline, that they can follow, an outline for their meetings, for their minutes, making sure it gets posted on the website, coming in front of council. I think we need to make sure that everyone on these committees has this policy as well and sees this policy.
well, I guess this is a good start. We can take it from here instead of trying to make it too big to begin with, you know, see how it goes.
Is there anything else people feel needs to be added in the committee policy, or are you comfortable with the way the committee policy stands right now with the changes we made?
I thought it was fine.
I mean,
I like it. I would like to then articulate a little more of, on Dave's idea, that they come specifically. So this quarter we have ABC, next quarter we have, you know, so this way we can divide up all those committees into each quarter. And then at least twice a year, if they're not going to be here, to actually have a committee meeting with one or two board members as a liaison or councilman.
I think that's fine. Is that something we can add into the committee policy?
well, do you want to make that part of the policy, or do you want to come with a separate kind of a calendar that we can kind of add to
I
this?
guess
Because
calendar.
The calendar.
you know, it can change from year to year.
Yeah.
You don't unnecessarily
Right.
lock someone into February or March, as long as they know that in this time frame they should be prepared to come for a council.
So policy is that they show up at least
Once a year.
And then the calendar will have, okay, you're gonna be here,
Right.
whatever. Okay. No, I agree with that.
But I still think we should do something where they all meet together.
Absolutely.
Yeah, maybe we put that in the calendar as well, you know, saying that they need to schedule a meeting.
I think that's one of the first things that has to happen. We
Yeah.
need to
I
get
think
everybody in the
maybe
room.
we schedule a
We
meeting.
schedule it for them, yeah. Otherwise it won't happen. Yeah. Okay. Do we have any thoughts on, I just thought of this while I was sitting here. Besides the regular committees and boards, is there a need to add any of the special, I don't know if you want to call them ad hoc committees, but just like we have like the skateboard park committee, which was not a, where we have the joint one that's every quarter.
The one with the Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah, we have now the one that was.
Well, how
really
many,
good. So
how many ad hoc committees do we have hanging out there?
Two active,
Which are what?
the Boys and Girls Club,
Okay.
Study Committee, and the skate park.
Has Boys and Girls Club actually met? They were meeting
Not
last
since-
year.
Yeah, not since January.
Okay.
That's on me, because I got.
That's fine. Okay. So what about because we also have to start talking about the master plan for the town.
We do.
Yeah, again, there's a few other ones too, like the long-range facility planning. There's a joint one with Board of Ed, different committees like that. Not, so I'm just wondering.
Oh, right, because the Board of Ed, that was just done
The other day.
2 meetings ago, right? Dave, you're on that?
Yeah, we're on that.
Kathy and I are on
Okay, right. Did you guys meet yet or no?
They're meeting
No.
next week.
Okay.
July 5th.
Would
Yeah,
that
it was
be
just a
considered an
question.
ad hoc, or what? Is that just a
No, it's
liaison
actually a
between?
standing committee.
That's a standing committee.
So that's just a council
It's
to.
part of the ordinance, part of the
Okay.
code.
I guess that's my question.
Since
is
it's
that-
made up of council people, I don't know that you need a special,
Right, committee for it.
representative to come and.
Right.
appear
Maybe
before
we
council.
should
I was talking
They're gonna
more
bring
about,
it back.
I was talking more about the summaries and just so you have a
Of who's doing what.
record, yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as them getting together and all the chairs and all that, maybe we should just do it once and see how it goes and see what they think about it too.
Yeah.
See, before we try to put it into policy, let's do one. We've never done one. Let's see what comes out of it and see how we will structure it.
When you were talking about EMS, how many times do they come up to just report what's going on?
They don't, unless we ask them.
What about the library? Because is library set up the same way as that, meaning it's outside or another?
They're their own board, they're their own entity.
So do they ever come and, because I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
I know
Well,
what's
they
going
did
on at
when-
library.
They
just
did
because
when
my
they
kids
were
are in it.
doing the library expansion, they had,
But
Right,
not on
I
a-
do remember
not on
that.
an annual basis.
but yeah, other than that, it would just be like the liaison saying if there was anything.
So is there
No,
any
like-
way that we can have them
Sure,
come and talk to us,
why not?
not just when they need money?
Why not? I mean, we could probably have.
I mean,
them
the library does a bunch
But
of great
actually,
things. I'd love to
we've
know.
actually had them come in here a couple of times. We
Okay.
could probably have.
Well, they always give summaries for their budget, we read that, and I don't know if
Yeah.
it's always, you have to drag them in here, I mean,
No,
have a
but-
liaison who reports. But I think for the committees that have synergies that are maybe trying to figure out like between open space and environmental. or,
Yeah,
you
we're
know,
talking, yeah, for that.
There's a lot of things that,
Yeah,
I
there's
think we need to
synergies
get-
between them.
and we need to figure out what they are so that we can leverage each other, so one isn't working on one objective, one's working on another objective.
I agree.
Yeah, we're really talking about two different things here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely think that where there's synergies, they need to meet at least once a year. twice a year.
I think the ones that you're talking about that you want to meet are ones who have advisory roles, so they're all on the same page.
Right.
Yeah.
The library isn't so much advisory
Right.
to
No,
this
no.
body
Yeah,
as
that's
they
a
are
different-
a governance board to, the library administration.
Well, library does a lot of great things, and I think it would be great if they could tell us all things.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
a
what's going on at the
That's a
library,
separate
my kids
thing.
are in it, but,
They'd be glad to come in
Yeah.
when they have something.
and even
to
like
present.
EMS, they, 200 plus calls
Yeah.
a month, they do incredible things. That would be great to have everybody understand it a little bit more. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I think we should start with some kind of ad hoc group session where we can get a lot out of that and figure out what direction, how often
Right.
should we meet? Who should meet? Should there be like different committees that they meet?
Yeah, does everybody need to meet, or?
Yeah, right.
Everybody should meet at least once a year in one group, and then maybe,
We did it years ago, but it's been probably 4 or 5
Oh,
years
it's been a
since
long
they've done
time,
it.
yeah.
Well, like Kathy said, let's set one up and see.
Yeah.
get them in a room, see what happens.
Set one up with
Right.
flood, open space, environmental.
We already have an existing policy on the books that, covers a lot of these things, especially the first and second sections. There's a lot of the part 3 there that's new. So if there's any modifications or additions you want, kind of email Carol or myself, and put this on for kind of adoption
Okay.
at that meeting.
Well, are we gonna pick one of those minutes formats, or are we just gonna go with the
Yeah,
one
I was-
Well,
I mean, we have all
we gave
those,
them both as kind of recommended
Examples.
formats.
right,
The one is a lot more formal than the other.
I mean, I can tell, looking at this, that the, yeah, I mean, this open space,
We're trying not to dictate form, but
Right.
show, you know,
categories.
kind of a best practice.
Actually, there is the very first, there's 3 agendas. There's one that's just an outline.
That's the open space.
Everyone
that's the open space. I think that agenda is fine. The open, one that you used from the open space committee. For-
That would be on the 3rd page, correct?
The reason I picked these 2 is actually because they both did something very similar, which is they have an agenda, and then they use the agenda to do their minutes.
Right.
And you're right, I didn't want to, because a lot of boards have different, you know, they sort of have different purposes, and their agendas suit the way they do them. I could sort of make a general outline and let people cross off what they.
Yeah, like environmentals, not to pick on yours, but yes, it's very detailed, and you guys keep things on there that you do over and over and over again, and that's why they don't come off, and then you kind of keep the timeline. So it's a little bit more, you use the agenda and the minutes as the same format, and just add
Well,
on
as
to
long
it.
as we
with
have
delete.
the outline, I mean, you have to remember, these are volunteers,
Yeah.
you know, and
That's what I'm saying, they both
there's
line.
different talent levels in different
Yeah.
committees
Right.
as to who can do what.
I think to share it with people that
Yeah.
aren't doing it, this basic agenda is easier for other people to follow.
Actually before the policy,
Yes.
there is actually an outline.
Right.
It says agenda and minutes at the top.
Yeah, we got it,
I tried to make that so they could just cross off the things that they didn't need.
right. I think that's fine.
If you want the committees to review this and see if they can use them, that would be fine.
Oh, I don't know.
It's not a good idea.
How many committees has how many
Yeah.
ideas?
I think we
we'll
should
have?
give them a basic format and
Yeah.
let them
Yeah, make
use
it real basic, and
Which
if
is-
somebody wants to add to it, let them add to it. Let's give them the basics of what we need.
Right, they could always
They can always add to it. Right.
Is that basic enough, that outline?
I
Yeah.
think it's
The
fine.
one for open space?
The one for open space, I think, is fine.
No, it's not the one for open space.
It's the one
It's,
the
before
one at the
that.
beginning.
right.
There's one before that?
Yeah, it doesn't, it just says committee name. It's
Oh, all right.
not specific to.
Got it. I
I
think
mean,
that's
it's
what I.
pretty much the same as open space,
Yeah,
correct?
it's a little less pretty.
I like the crest.
Oh, Jesus.
All minutes must have the crest.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
When it makes it to the clerk's office, the crest can be added.
Well,
I don't know, I tried to incorporate that crest. It was,
Are you talking about the one that says agenda and minutes on it?
yes, so you would use the same format
Got
for
it.
either one, right?
Yeah, all right, got it. Yep, that's fine.
We start somewhere.
Yeah.
It'll take us a little bit to work through it.
Do you want me to email that outline to the,
No, just incorporate it in the new policy that we're gonna review.
well, so
Yeah,
which one are we agreeing on? Open space or environmental?
no, we're agreeing on this one.
The one before it? Okay.
Although there is one comment that I mean, you would hope everybody knows what you mean by this real basic one. You could write example over the
Yes,
open
that would be
space.
a lot better.
So they see types of titles that they might put in there.
Right.
If they
Yeah,
don't know Robert's rules and they don't do agendas
Oh,
and minutes,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, in other words, this just, I mean, you would think it's good enough.
Well, I like open spaces, you know, under the
I do
open
too.
session minutes, you just check off the names, very simple, very
Yeah,
quick.
Yeah, but don't use that as your example, just say, you know,
right,
Right.
committee meeting example, and just put, you know,
Mhm.
whatever names you want.
that's great. Good. All right, I like that. What else on this? So we're good with the committee policy, we're good with the agenda, and the minute outline. Because both open space and environmental do it great. I wish all the committees did them like.
Yeah, but open space has professional
Yeah,
paid help, you know, the
Yeah.
other ones are volunteers.
Yeah.
That's a lot different than what you're asking.
yeah,
You're not gonna pay for a paid secretary for every.
But I think if we give them the blank format of what we want. All we gotta do is
Fill it in.
Fill in the blank.
Fill in the blanks.
All right, so we're good with.
So Carol, the June 2017 lists of committees,
Yep.
these are the only committees that have vacancies?
Wait, let me get on the right page here.
Starts
Yeah.
with environmental?
Yes, or will have committee vacancies. No, I included anything that had a vacancy
As
or
of-
anything that someone applied to,
Okay.
which was only these four.
Well, then for the next
Actually,
council
it's
meeting.
6. You have 2 on the
Right.
back page. Okay.
No, I meant there were only 4 applications.
So you had 1 for environmental, 1 for, oh, I got you. You didn't have 1 for shade tree or,
Correct, but they did have vacancies, I
Got
just
it.
wanted to.
okay.
Right. Well, then for the next council meeting, I'd like to, by motion or whatever I have to say, to have Spencer and Andrea and Nina for the environmental to swap those positions.
Yeah. And I did have a
If
conversation.
anybody has any issues with that.
Yeah, no issues. I did have a conversation with the chair of the environmental, only because I remember last year there was an issue, but now the youth is an adult, so it's not an issue anymore.
Oh, okay. That's good.
So
Because-
say that again, Kath?
We have a youth liaison,
Right.
and it's Spencer.
He aged out, so he's
Right,
gonna
so
go into
I-
a full
yeah.
member.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then there's a new application
For the youth?
for the youth.
Yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
she'll be a freshman
Mm-hmm.
in September, so we'll have her for quite some time. And she's really interested, and she's been coming anyway. Even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
No,
not
I
waiting to
agree.
be
I think
appointed,
that's
she's
great.
just interested.
And
So we can put that on the next council
I
agenda.
would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think those are mayoral appointments.
Well, that's okay. I'll agree with
There you go.
And
There you go.
There you go.
I already discussed it. with-
I can say urging, how about that?
There you go.
Recommending.
So
Right,
so
I can-
Spencer would take the vacant alternate,
Yes,
Yes.
and Nina would take the youth.
right.
And like I said, there's no issue. Everybody from the environmental commission thinks it's a good move, and I think everybody up here thinks it's a good move, so.
That's good.
The one I wanted to bring up, you might have noticed Carol put the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee on here, and it looks like there's no vacancies, but I believe the reason she put it on here is because she does have an application, and I do believe there's 1 or 2 members on there that do not come to the meetings.
Correct.
So we just need a formal, I'm assuming you want, I talked to one of the people today and I said, are you willing just to put your John Hancock down? And they said yes, because I figured we'd probably have to get their signature to
Yeah.
get them off so you can make the appointment.
Is there anything in the ordinance that says they have to be town residents?
No, not of that one.
Not a senior?
That's correct.
Yeah, and senior citizens, we have had people from Lincoln Park and like surrounding towns on that before. I don't know where that one was from, but. So I don't know if you guys have, yeah, I mean, I don't have a recommendation on that yet. I just wondered if, we got that. Does anybody know where that application came from? Was that something that just got submitted recently?
I don't know.
So is she,
Well,
is
if you
she,
don't have an opening, you can't really take
Right.
action on
But I thought you said we did.
Well,
applicant
right.
until
Right.
We don't have an opening.
That's what I
until
just
somebody
said.
resigns.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is what I talked about, if somebody's gonna resign, you have to give us something in writing.
Has anyone had that conversation? with you?
Yes.
so let me ask you a question. I mean, it looks like she runs senior trips and she does screening for seniors. Is this a business for her? Is she looking to hopefully or maybe get compensated somehow for it?
Maybe she likes old people.
I mean, I think it's something that.
Does
before-
anybody know her?
No, I think before we do
Looks
anything,
like
yes,
she-
somebody needs to.
She works for
Reach out.
Lakeland.
We can't appoint somebody we don't know.
No, what I believe, I
Have her
believe this person might have been at our health fair. But we could have her come if
Oh,
you
yeah,
want to
sure,
talk
she'd be
to her.
willing to speak to us. Yeah.
We can't do anything until the other person resigns anyway.
And if they don't resign by the next meeting, we can't do anything until January.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Pete is the liaison to this committee. Do you want to have Pete reach out to this?
Yeah, that'd be
Yes.
great.
Yeah, reach out to her and have her come to one of the meetings.
Yeah.
This way we can clarify, is she looking to?
Well, we're running out of
Do
time.
you
Let
do you
Pete
want
take
us
care
to
of it.
kind of better
Right.
before we?
Yeah.
Yeah, let him into
Self-services,
Let
that
Pete take
should
care of
be
it.
on the budget.
Right.
Right, but I'd still love to hear what she says, because if she can be an asset to the town, you know, because we had somebody come in, Healthy Homes, and they gave free seminars on it, and it was phenomenal. So that's something, I don't know what she does, but I'm seeing, you know, services on diabetes, stroke, if that sort of thing.
But what I'm saying, Brian, if she is looking to be compensated somehow,
Right, that's different.
she can't be on the committee.
No, she can't be on the board, correct.
So let Pete discuss it with her
Yeah, that wouldn't be us.
and feel her out, and
Okay.
And what we'll do is maybe we'll make sure we get a resignation from somebody first. Is it just the one person or more than one from that senior list that is not going?
More than one.
Okay.
There's three
Because
people.
I
that
know
are.
of one, which I discussed.
If
Well,
they're
have they been
really
coming
not,
to the meeting? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I know,
We
yeah,
can just remove them. We
Right.
don't have to ask them for a
Do we have
resignation.
minutes and records?
I mean, we don't have to bother.
Very good question.
to make
No,
this easy,
we're having an
to make
issue with
this
that.
easy for you, the one person that I know of just came to the first meeting and felt like, you know, it wasn't gonna go anywhere. And I said, it's because it's new, you have to keep with it. And
Well, and I think we also had some drop off when we moved the time as well. So whether it's good or bad, with the other meeting, you had a bunch of people that went to both. The problem is that you had, you know, there wasn't clarity between what one committee does and what the township committee does. So by moving it gave it clarity, but now it's a reason for being. We're trying to figure out a
Is
reason
it
for
working?
being.
do you feel like it needs to be moved back to a day meeting, or is it working where it is?
It's the same issue that we have in all the committees. How do we get out to the people and figure out what our relevance is? Right, flood, we had the same issue, economic development. How do you get out to the people and find out what they need and how can I help them?
Well, maybe part of this meeting we have, we can kind of brainstorm when we're gonna have like a day when people can come meet
Right.
everybody and see what they're up about, you know?
Right.
We'll have some kind of open house type thing.
Right, seniors,
If
how
you-
can I help you?
Yeah.
We have to
Yeah.
find out from the seniors, how can we actually help them?
You know, maybe that's something like, we can, you know, that's something really we use at the hoedown, all the committees are usually there,
Exactly.
you know?
Maybe we need a better way of promoting the committees.
Aren't we getting a new town website soon?
That was last year, right?
Isn't that being worked on, I
But
heard?
the website will work for some committees and won't
Yeah.
work for
The
others.
hoedown's a good place to reach out to people.
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
that, you know, if you're looking for a good cross representation for seniors, you know, we tend to go to where the seniors are, Earl Village and
Right.
Senior House. But that necessarily leaves out a good number of people who live in their homes and don't get out and don't have internet and don't go to the hoedown.
Right.
So I know Pete, with an intern, is trying to look at a way to do outreach, you know, to go to them in their homes and find out what their needs are. That's part of what this committee is trying
Right.
to
And we're trying to figure out,
direct towards.
right, how do we help these people, but we have to find out, because like you said, we have unique town, where we really have three groups. Earl Village, Cedar Crest, and then everybody in between. And that's the hard part, trying to
Well, I guess
get
it
to
really
that.
depends on the mission of the committee. What is the mission of the committee? Is it just to have events? Is it to actually do
No,
outreach?
that's
it was
this.
never,
It was
that
never
committee was
tied.
never to have events.
Okay.
It's
That was
to-
the
it's to-
crossover between
It's to do the public
expo
outreach.
and
this
all that,
and,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, to do the
You know,
public
it's
outreach.
the same thing as like economic development and Chamber of Commerce, right? So Chamber of Commerce is to put on all the events and the feel-good stuff and the business card
Promote
exchanges and all that.
our business.
Promote businesses, and economic development is really for the stability of businesses in town. How can we help them navigate through the construction process, or how do we retain them, or how do we, you know, where are their sounding boards on signs, A-frame signs, all that kind of stuff. Same thing with seniors. They have DISC, which is really their feel-good programs, their social programs, and then we have the Senior Advisory Committee, whereas how can we really help them? What do we need to do?
Well,
Is
maybe
it
the
with
senior
dial
advisory
ride?
needs to meet with the the heads of the churches who have these
Yeah.
committees who do
Yeah.
all that.
Which we,
So you're not stepping on their feet, and that you're doing, have some synergies there.
Yeah.
Because they already do this well, but they're not reaching everybody.
That's the big problem.
But you can find out what they do, and then what you kind of feel is for the people who are like, not religious, I guess, per se.
we had talked
Right?
about that, reaching out to the churches, the Hurl Village, the Cedar Crest. I mean, you kind of need to bring them all together, but.
I would leave it
Work
like
in
this.
progress.
Yeah.
Work in progress. I do like that Habitat for Humanity idea, though, too, for the seniors.
Mm.
That's a good.
And what's a senior?
Right.
What age is a senior? That I have, I get senior. No, that's a good question. What is a senior? How do you define a senior? What's a senior?
Over 55.
Nowadays,
Well, yeah,
Over
the dollarized bylaws still say 55 and over, so
Mm-hmm.
the direction to look at it, maybe changing it.
Dave, have we found out anything from the freeholders about the solid waste?
Can we go, I'm not done with the committees.
I'm
I
sorry.
don't mean to.
All right, go ahead.
Well,
Any
we
more on-
we have one other application here, and I just want to ask council if they want to make an exception for Tom Andrea for open space. There's a spot on open space, and we didn't move him to that because of being on the 3 committees.
Tom, your
And
liaison for,
there's no one taking that spot, and there's no one coming forward, and I know they need people.
we
Wait, Tom's on, you're on 3 now? And-
I do Parks and Rec Chair,
Right.
Secretary for Environmental, and I also the liaison from Parks and Rec to the skateboard.
Right.
and are you still the liaison for open space for Parks and Rec?
No, I gave that to Rudy.
Oh, Rudy, okay.
So,
Last year I was, but this year Rudy wanted to do it, so I figured, okay, let him do it. So I applied for the vacant spot in
Right.
open space.
so I don't know how the council feels about that.
Yeah, whatever you
do we
decide.
have, let's go back to policies, do we have a policy on how many boards somebody can be on?
Yeah, no more than 3.
Mhm.
And we made that a couple
But-
years ago.
To pick on you.
But is it 3 official or 3?
But his really isn't 3 official.
The elephant
Let's
in
talk
the
about
room.
Tom without being in the room. But the skateboard committee is that ad hoc?
Right,
Yeah.
that's why I brought that up before.
It is ad hoc. It has to
Right.
be redone every year.
So that's, let's say it's not a real committee. I mean, that.
Well,
Yeah, I get it.
well, say it right.
That's my favorite committee.
It's getting to be more real, so.
But it's gonna
that's something
happen,
That's gonna
and-
change.
Right, exactly. So is the definition to be on committee? Does the skateboard, is that more?
In that
that
sense,
different?
he's on 3.
Listen, I need as many people that want to give their heart to this town as possible.
I don't
I
have a
agree,
problem making
6
an
is
exception
probably
why I
not
bring it
good,
up,
but-
you know.
You know?
I don't have an issue with them, that's why I brought it up, because I just feel that if we had an overwhelming amount of people who wanted to be on open space and all
Absolutely.
that, then it'd be a whole other story. And that's why I think we made the policy that way, because we had a lot of people who just, you know, they put in for like 5 and 6 committees and we
I
had to
think 5 and
decide.
6 is too many, but, you know, still, if we have people that are willing to give their time and, you know,
Well, I guess
their
especially
heart
if
to
one
the
is ad
town,
hoc, you know,
I need that. You know, that's what makes this town great.
yeah. And it's ad hoc.
I mean,
As a
unless you wanna
liaison.
do some reach out between now and the next meeting, if not, I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
We're always reaching
Huh?
out.
You're gonna have to take it out.
Right, then you would have to take that out.
Well, I don't think so, it's a policy, it's not a law. I mean, we
Well, I
can,
think your policy gives
Your-
council the authority to,
yeah, we have the
Of course
authority
it
to.
We would have to,
Oh,
if
right.
we're gonna appoint, we'd have to take this out, change that.
Why? Why? We just override it, we're as council. It's just a policy.
True.
and it gives you permission
And
to
it gives us
override.
permission to do it. You don't have to change the policy, we just have the right to do it.
Yeah.
And we can.
I'm hoping to be the attorney.
No, I guess you're right in the sense that we're saying that we're making an exception.
It's an exception, we're not
overriding
changing
it,
the policy.
and
That's
it's
something. There's
an ad
reasons.
hoc one,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, except as otherwise may be deemed necessary
go.
by
There you
township
go.
council. So deem it as
We have it.
necessary.
All right.
Raise your hand, Tom.
There you go.
On the open space.
We're good. We're good.
You sure you want it? Okay.
They have 2 more Kiscos to build, they need me.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I think you have experience.
All right, anything else on boards and
I'm
committees? Or are we pretty good there? Okay. All right, next, I guess, is Martin Berry, right?
Yeah, I think that's nice.
Memorandum of understanding. Okay. So what we have, all right, so what's the discussion about the memorandum of
Well-
understanding with Martin Berry?
I'm going to defer to Chris, who's been involved in this, but we haven't made a lot of progress beyond where we were, so I guess we're looking for council to give us some feedback on what is you would like to see in this,
Agreement.
MOU, and what level of support from the Historic Society is appropriate, to give them access, basically.
So right now, we just have this draft, right?
Yeah, that's just a draft.
And this is just a draft, and we still have a lot of things to work out, a lot of holes in it?
Well, a lot of
Yeah.
holes.
Not a lot of holes.
All right, I just want to make sure, like, I didn't know if there was issues with, like, things they wanted to
Well, we have people here
assignments they
tonight.
wanted to do and what they
Right,
wanted to do.
so I know Dave Stapp is here this evening
Okay,
from the
great.
Historical Society. The last time we discussed this, it was essentially responsibilities from the township and responsibilities from the society. After a meeting with them and Dave going back and forth with the society, it was generally conveyed that the society's not budgeted for construction costs, and they're not in a position to give an X amount of dollars at this point. However, they did raise $11,000 for furnishings to make exhibits and such in the house, and they are willing to work on special projects such as paying for windows pathways as deems necessary as the construction phase goes on. So, as Mr. Holberg said, I guess we're just looking for direction as to what council would like to set up in terms of support or a fundraising goal or something to that effect that works with the society's financial constraints.
What other groups in towns do we have agreements like this with? Do we have agreement like this between the town and Little League?
That's similar.
I don't
Yes,
think so.
they cover their electric bill for the snack stand.
But they run the
Electric
programs.
Well,
And they run the program.
They run the program, and they give us periodic donations for improvements. They provide in-kind labor for improvements to the park. Matter of fact, they're going to be doing some dugouts there. Currently, the building there was done by them for us. Most of the fields at one time or another were done by them at their cost for us. Similarly, Pequannock Soccer has given us money for irrigation at Greenview.
What other groups in town run the
Yeah,
same?
but do we have
business?
an MOU? I've never seen an MOU.
Right.
There was never a formal agreement with either of those.
No.
But we have there was a written agreement at one point for the utilities on the snack stand, because that was an ongoing thing, rather than a one-time.
Well, I
Is
think
there any
it's a
other-
good idea that we have MOUs.
Is there any other groups in town that we have any kind of agreement like this, like formal agreement with?
No.
What other groups in town would be? Yeah, so I'm trying to understand it. How do we set it up? Like, is it more like library, or is it like
Well,
library,
okay,
Parks and Rec?
I won't say no. Both the fire companies have a nonprofit corporate entity that exists within the.
Kind of on top of it?
Yeah, there's actually two sides of the firehouse. There's a social entity, and there's the firematic entity, which is a department of the township. The social entity, we have agreements with both fire companies for their meeting rooms. They have use of their meeting room. Allegedly, they pay us $1 a year for it.
Have we seen that dollar?
Yeah,
Just kidding.
I don't use it to balance the budget, but, So there are those are very, very, very old.
And would that be the same way as rescue?
No, they're their own entity. They own the building, and they are not an agency of the township. They're fire departments who are. They have administrative, our code identifies them. There's a chain of command that goes from chief through me. The first aid squad does not operate like that. They're completely separate.
So the first aid squad operate more like the library?
No,
Or
because
is
there
that
is
something
no.
totally different?
Right, totally different.
I love this game.
One is not like the other.
Right.
Well, I
Yeah.
think I think this cut is.
I'm still the freshman, so I'm still learning. That's why I'm asking a lot of
This
questions.
is the first time, the last time we built a building, Company One, in association with one of those entities, there was an agreement for the rental of the meeting room, and the fire company, at that time, put up money for the kitchen, which was for their use only, basically. So there is historical precedent for it. Here again, the township has spent money to acquire a building
Right.
that's going to be occupied and used permanently by a nonprofit.
So this is giving
what
them
is-
the legal ability to be there and then run things out of that.
What is their role? While it's fairly easy to identify and know what the role of a fire department is and what service they provide to us in the community, this is meant to lay out, okay, exactly what is the role of the Historic Society in terms of functioning with the township.
And really, the town is gonna pick up all the bills. So whether we have to make the property
Well,
ADA
that was-
compatible or.
That
Well,
was
this is
part
part
of
of the
this.
agreement.
Are we going to pick up all the bills, or are we going to ask them to, pay for even the telephone, like
Yeah.
the fire companies do at their houses?
Well, I think this is a very good draft. The only thing is what you keep talking about is this transparency of operations. We don't have any of that with anybody else. And I think that it's good to have, but I don't know how we can have that with one operation and not with other operations. And maybe that's something that should be outside of this agreement that just says anybody who we give money to or do shared projects with, that they give us a financial report once a year or whatever. I think there's other towns who do something similar to that. I don't know if it's Montville or Lincoln Park or one
It's
of
a
those.
requirement if you lease property to a nonprofit that they do that.
Something like that, yeah, they made something like that. Because this is just something that we just don't do with anybody else, because, it really talks about, annual audit society will be conducted, on a calendar year by a qualified CPA firm chosen by the society. It just seems, I think it should maybe say something about transparency and supplying, an annual audited report or something, but it's very detailed that we don't ask of anyone else to provide.
That's a good point, because an annual audited report, who picks up the cost of that? Is the town paying for that?
No, that would be
I think
them.
that was one of the issues they.
Yes, they'd asked, it should be in the new draft, they'd asked that the,
I think they
in
should
section
provide
2.2, it
something.
says annual audit, they would like something in terms of financial review, like the first aid squad is responsible for.
And I think that would be fair unless we,
Well, I mean, that's the
Require
only way we can
everybody.
make an intelligent decision. I mean, let's say they've got $500,000 in the bank, and yet we keep on putting money into this asset. There are things that they can kick in, long-term to make sure that this is viable. It's an asset of the
I don't
town,
think it's a
but how
matter of
do
what
we?
the number is, it's just a matter of being transparent, that's all. That's all. And I think
Well,
it's a good thing that it's in here, I think something should be in here, and I think something should be.
Well, the other question is, how do we want to leverage this asset? This asset is it's a historic part of our town. It's a piece of our history as a town. So what do we want that to look like over the next 10, 20 years? Is that going to be a place where DJs play, or is it just going to be a place where people come in and take a look at it, like the train station? How are we going to use this asset over the long term?
Well, were there any other objections to it? Because I think it reads pretty well,
No.
yeah.
And Chris, is the town, obviously the town is okay with the way it reads now?
The town's okay with the way it reads now, the society's okay with the way it reads now, but.
They asked for a couple months.
They asked for a couple modifications, but I think the most was specifically on the first page where it says, raise funds on an initial and ongoing basis for a portion of costs. I think the concern there was, what will be their commitment and a more specific number.
So
I
we
don't
need
think that can
that,
go
we
in
need
here.
that to be a
I don't
little.
Well,
think
I
that
guess
has
the
to be-
question is, are they going to have offices there, or is
Yeah.
it gonna be like the train station?
They would like to hold their meetings there. They would
I
like-
believe they'd like to have their offices there.
about
That's,
Yeah.
Well, if they're gonna have
And
their
hold
offices
events
there,
and stuff.
we need them to cover electric, utilities,
Right.
and whatnot.
Well, that's the way it was presented to us when the society came before us. They had plans, and that was part of one of the presentations, was running it, And that's when they had, Eleanor come with how much it was to run, and it was, I think,
Yeah.
it's like $10,000 a year,
Right.
Right.
between heat, electricity, and all that kind of stuff, and telephone.
But if they're actually there and running it and using it
Right.
as offices, then yes, I
Yeah.
think.
They should be
They
paying
should,
those
right.
utility bills.
So, I don't
As
know.
opposed to train station where you
Right.
open it up and you have, people from town, or every once a month they open it up?
Twice a month.
Twice a month?
Mhm.
But then you open up special for Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts and
Right.
stuff like that. So, I mean, we're not using a lot of energy for that, per se.
Yeah, and I think that they're more than willing to kick in the operations of it. And I think this covers it. I don't know if it has to be a number.
Well,
Yeah,
not a number, but more specific, which operations.
Right, it
I
should say
think
that
they were-
utilities or
They were
something or
concerned
whatever.
that we were gonna start asking them for, contributions towards some of the grant things we're getting. I don't think that was our intent. When we commit a match, we are committing that match from,
Right,
our,
open space.
open
Right.
space and
Right.
historic
Yeah, but-
preservation fund.
But with that said, if we're not in the position, if we're in the position to fill out the paperwork and get it, but because of budgetary reasons, we're doing other things, instead of them not getting the grant, if they have to raise,
They can fundraise
20%?
for it.
Right, why can't they fundraise for it, so we can still write the grant on their behalf,
Correct.
but they're gonna take care of that.
We could have, and that would be
I'm sure
things I
that
think you would
could happen.
negotiate on a project basis like you
Yeah.
did
Right.
with Little League or anything like that. I don't think you need to have that in the agreement.
I wouldn't wanna
It's the
stop them
it's
if
the
we
maintenance
No.
if we couldn't do it in that budget.
But Ryan, we're gonna have money because we don't have any more open space.
Right.
We're gonna dump
I
our
don't,
houses
I don't
and
think there's
stuff.
gonna be a time that
Unless we lower what we're
we
contributing to
don't apply
that.
for a grant that we're not gonna have the 20%.
We have the money.
Right, yeah, I'm not too worried about the
I'm
grant
not
part,
worried
it's
about
more
that.
about the maintenance
Uh,
operations
Right.
of like
The
utility
utilities,
bills.
Right.
if they wanna pick up the electric, the heat,
Water.
But I don't think they want to, but
Right.
what
Well,
do
maybe we
you
should ask
want them to?
Of course they don't
well,
want to,
Kathy
but I
said
think
that
that's
they
only
had planned
fair.
on that.
They
in
had
the
Originally, that's the way it was
presentation.
presented to us.
Like,
Yeah, I would like to have some input, but
Are
I don't
you-
know. I don't go to the meetings.
Now, are you done with presenting?
yes.
Okay, let's hear from some of the,
And Chris, I think in the beginning, I think they started, or it was May 2015,
Hello.
that date line.
So first of all, to be clear,
state your name and record for.
I'm Dave Stapp, I'm the chair of the Historical Society at 749 Newark Pumpton Turnpike.
Thank you for coming.
To be clear, first of all, the Historical Society is all volunteers. Even if we did set up an office, it would not be anywhere near, at this point or in the foreseeable future, anything that's going to be occupied 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, anything like that. It's
Meetings.
going to be primarily used for meetings. We envision the Martin Berry House to be a center for raising awareness for the history of Pequannock. Not just a place where we go to meet, but a place to hold events. We're hoping to engage the Board of Education, make the facility available to see what the history of the town offered over the years. That house has generations of history in it. You go from pre-revolution up to 1970s, 1980s, and current day, obviously.
So you're talking about using it as like a learning tool? Like,
We-
okay, so
Right.
that's one. Okay.
And they have been doing things like that now at the Legion. They have been holding events every month
Right.
for the community, and they would like to hold them there.
So what the house gives us the ability to do is just mostly to have a base to work out of for those meetings. But most of us, like I said, we're volunteers. Most of us we're gonna do our work from home. So in terms of the house itself, the expenses are gonna be minimal. There's not going to be a lot of expenses that are going to go on there.
Well, how does the society feel about picking up any of those expenses? Did they
Especially
talk
since
about
they're
that?
left.
We actually did put in the budget for things like electric,
Okay.
heat. We put in the budget for heat and oil.
So we could add like utilities
If we
into
wanted to
this
do that,
agreement.
we could do that.
Okay, because that's what we had talked about.
Operating
years ago.
expenses we had budgeted for, but when we came down to construction, we have nothing in there in the budget for construction. And right now, the group is fairly small. To try to get that fundraising going and that momentum going would be a fair.
Well, that's a good question.
Well, I think that would be on a project basis. I think in that, those words could be in here that say that for construction, it would be maybe on a project basis, but you could write in here
Right.
operating expenses,
Well-
utilities, because they were able to raise money. When you have some certain event or something, for the furniture, they raised $11,000 in like 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, and if there's a small project, like we need to build shelves over here, you might be able to do that, but
Right.
you can't take on something like putting on a new roof, you know,
Yeah,
so I
actually,
understand.
Chris said windows, and I went, wait a second, hold it.
So I understand.
I just replaced windows, I know what they cost.
So it'd be fine to write in here about operating.
Right.
But there's an interesting question, because what is our long-term goals with this?
Right. That's-
So we have an asset. We're gonna rebuild it over the next 10 years, right? But what are we gonna do with this?
What are we gonna do
Are
with
we going to, and you're right, you make a point, because you're a small group, and you're all volunteers, and you do a great job. You did a great job with Martin DeRary House. But what are we gonna do with this? You know, there was talk about weddings, there was talk about having schools there was talk. I see that as a full-time job. So if we're gonna leverage this asset that we have and pack it up with the train station and the other history we have in town, what if that turns into a full-time job?
Well, the way the Glen Burn House is run in Riverdale is they do it through their Parks and Rec. I don't know if they still do it that way, but they did do it that way 2 years or so ago. I don't know, Dave, if you know anywhere if they've switched that. I know
No,
there's some talk.
the event management is through.
Because it's just like renting out the senior house. You rent it
Yeah,
out for
okay,
a wedding,
that,
you
yeah.
know.
Pavilion.
They want to pitch a tent and have a wedding there, you know.
Well, I mean,
It's
don't we want this to be successful? I mean, it's
Oh, I'm
an
saying,
incredible
I'm saying
asset.
that's how they do it. I mean,
You
it
bring
wouldn't be
up a-
the society, I think, scheduling it. It'd be just like scheduling a meeting room anywhere or anything. That's how I envision it
I don't see any of that happening
for a while.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
2 or 3 years down the road, maybe.
Right, you need
but if
the
we
ability
don't-
to change that.
Right, if we don't think about it, right, who's going to run it, who's going to be in charge? Is it going to be in partnership with Historic Society? So let's say you go there on a Sunday to see it. Is Historic Society going to actually be staffed in, let's say,
Well, not staffed,
vintage
but-
wear, I want to say?
No.
Lack of better words.
But this is the way the train station is opened by volunteers twice a, you know.
Right, we'll be open every day.
And they
all
envision
that.
doing things like that too. Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be a build over
Yeah.
time, probably.
We'll
And
go towards that direction.
as I understand this agreement, this is a first step. There is a section of the agreement that talks about an ongoing
Right.
development between the town and the council, defining those roles, and also possibly a timeline in terms of how that develops.
Right.
I think the most active historical is the Glen Burn House probably right now.
Close
And
to
I think the main reason is they have a very large barn that they can hold weddings and receptions in. I think it's going to be difficult to hold a reception at the Martin Berry House. So I vision it as just like all the other historical houses in Morris County, opened a certain number of days a month,
Right.
tours,
Well, there's that big meeting room though that's planned down there. How many seats did that hold? I don't know if it was 60 or 70 seats,
The
where
one-
you can have lectures and things.
The room that's as it's
Downstairs.
planned right now, I think is seated for about 35.
I think it was bigger than that. Yeah.
No, it is.
In Glenborough House?
No, in our house, downstairs, where they said there was gonna be like a lecture area where they had mapped that out.
When when I reviewed, looked at the plans that the architects drew up, it was about 35
All right.
in there. But there are some modifications that we could probably do that would make a larger meeting space.
Well, what's the next step that we have to do to
Do this
open it to the
MOU.
public?
We gotta do this MOU first, before we get to anything.
We really need some of the safety issues
Addressed.
that are going to be funded through the first grant.
Right.
Like to see some of the ADA stuff,
A bathroom and
yeah, bathrooms.
ingress, egress, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How long is that gonna take from, let's say, now?
Here.
Yeah, once the grants
Will
are
the rail
awarded.
trail be in
I-
first?
Well, that's a
Well,
good question.
Good question.
Tie them all together.
You promised us April 2018, didn't you?
I did, I'm standing on it, I'm telling you, I'm running down that thing.
I would say 18 months from now.
Yeah.
So then, does that mean, we can't open it to the public, but can we still, what can we do with it for the next 18 months? Guess that's my question.
Well, I think once this memorandum's in
Right.
place, it's our intent to allow
Right,
the
so they can
Historic
be
Society
there.
to have access to it.
Clean and
On a
operational.
limited basis, I don't see why they couldn't hold, you know, private showings.
So we,
kind of,
could we
not
have
open
Boy
to the
Scouts in
public.
there?
Oh, I think so,
Oh,
yeah.
definitely.
So maybe schools, boys, so we can still
We
do
need to
something,
have a
but we
grand
can't
opening,
just.
we need to have a ribbon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you want to bring in large groups until you have some of that ADA work done.
Right, right.
Uh,
I was just
You
trying to
could do
get an
outside
idea.
work, there's volunteer work that
Yeah.
needs to be done.
Yeah, lots of
The church
volunteer
cleaned it
work.
up. There's gonna be fall work, that's gonna have to be, fall cleanup done,
Well, yeah,
What-
this is
what
an
about
asset of
this
the
week?
town, everybody, not
right?
just us.
One of the things we'd like to do, if it's possible, is in October is the Morris County Pathways for History tour.
Absolutely.
And we'd like to showcase the house on that tour, if that's possible.
This October?
Is
Yeah,
that possible without all
Yeah, is
the
that
work that
I
needs to be
told
done?
the historic commission, yes, I hope so.
I would say the grounds, right?
Yeah,
They may have to
or
cordon
peek
off
in,
certain
maybe,
areas.
yeah, maybe open up where they
Right.
can just look in the door
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah. Yeah, we don't want them walking through that.
We don't want people going down the stairs to the basement.
I
No.
think that the first floor should be
Okay.
fine for just general public admission.
We may have missed that window, I know they wanted to do, I know they start getting their brochures ready to print like in July,
Yeah, I don't see a
So I-
problem with that.
yeah, so I don't know, but
Okay.
I know the
I
historic
think there's
commission
still a
wants that.
possibility to get in.
Yeah. The
I
historic
think if
commission's
that's
pushing for that.
possible, then we should, because anything that we can do to generate interest in it and have people understand that, we have this great asset.
Yeah,
And
Nice.
that summer kitchen can be accessed
That's
from
true.
the outside,
yeah.
without having to go down those interior stairs, which is probably one of my concerns.
Yeah.
The pathways
So
was
let
a
them
big
walk
thing.
around,
It
look
is.
outside, and
Yeah.
then go up the center hall, see inside, at least just give them a taste.
Yeah.
And I
Okay.
see the public outreach is both on, it's joint, it's both on the township and the society, as well as, I'm also seeing they're gonna have a separate public website in
Which
addition
the
to, which you
Historic
do.
Society already does.
You do.
We do have one.
You do. So it'll be both.
I think it's.
I'd
I would
like to
just
see
change
the
a few things.
utilities added in there.
Right, exactly. And I would
Going.
kind of calm down the financial reporting, I would just kind of,
Now, when you say cleaning of the facility,
Yeah.
they will be responsible
Yeah.
for cleaning it. getting it
Let me ask you this, what issues do you have with this, meaning Historic Society?
They don't.
I think the only
Chris,
one they were questioning was.
There was,
the
ac-
using funds.
there was actually, there were three issues that we had with it. One was the funding for construction.
But Dave,
We're okay.
Those are just
those three things have been taken
discussed.
care of,
We've
right?
kind of clarified that, yeah,
Right.
that it's.
The second one was the transparency,
I would soften that a lot.
which we've spoken to.
The transparency or audited financials?
Primarily the audited financials.
That's expensive.
Right.
House killed me.
The third issue that we haven't talked about is that there's no termination clause. So if either party decides, hey, we can't do this anymore,
It's a good point.
what happens to
So if we
what?
fall out of love.
You also have to think about if there's if people in the committee can't do it anymore.
Right.
You need to
Right.
make sure you have,
Well, Bob says he can add
We
that.
can, we'll add
We
that.
can add
Chris and
that.
I will add that, no problem.
No, but you also have, so we're going to have property in the house, the township will have the township will have the house.
Right, 'cause
So
we're-
how does
we're
that
custom.
get?
Identify.
Does it go to the commission? What do we do with that?
Right. In the event of dissolution of the society, what do your bylaws say about, your assets, if you have any? Where do they go to?
you should get donated to
I'd have to go back and look, Dave, I don't remember offhand.
How's that handled in the train station? Who owns the stuff?
Well, the township does,
All
the
the stuff
historic
inside.
committee is an entity of the township.
Got it.
They're appointed by us as one of our boards and committees. Whereas this is a separate private nonprofit, and normally the IRS, to make you tax exempt, requires a clause about what happens to
Right.
assets in the event of it. They can't go to an individual. They have to be
Right.
dedicated to some either another.
I know we have
501c3.
something in there, I just don't recall what it is offhand.
All right. Well, that would be helpful to know.
So I can,
Yeah,
Well, that's a good question, because
There it is, I
what
got
about
it right here.
insurance?
do that, Krista.
I have it
So-
right here.
But if they own the asset, assets within the asset, are they additionally insured then? Or do they have their own insurance on top of that?
I have your bylaws right here, what it says.
Read what it says.
In the event the society disbands for any reason, goes out of existence, all of its assets will be distributed to another nonprofit society or societies or public museum or archives with similar purposes, or disposed of in appropriate alternate ways as determined by the remaining members of the society.
I don't know.
why would
That
they
pretty
go?
much says I can do whatever I want with it.
That's what it says.
Should go to the
What
town.
they can do with it,
Right.
not us.
It's the things they own.
My feeling is, I don't envision anything in the near future happening
I don't
with
know.
yours either.
No.
This is a relationship that the township and the historical society has gone into as a joint venture. The township has definitely invested quite a bit of money into this asset. I think whatever is in there, God forbid they dissolve, stays there.
Stays with the town.
Right.
I have to agree. We've invested a huge amount.
We
We're gonna be
and we
investing
are
over
going
time,
to
too.
continue to invest a huge amount.
Right.
And I'd hate to see a room for the downstairs furnished,
Right.
and in 10 years they
They dissolve.
disband,
They disband, right,
and-
and then we're stuck.
and we have an empty house with nothing.
I agree.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
well, we could certainly add that to this agreement. That would be consistent with their bylaws, because we would be an appropriate agency.
And
to-
believe me, I hope you last
Forever.
forever, you know. And I think Eleanor sold a lot of the stuff to you guys, thinking that it was
Keep it
going
in
to
the
stay
Right.
in the house.
She not only sold a lot of stuff to us, she left a lot of stuff to us as well.
So, right.
Right.
There's a lot that,
So I would like to see that in there.
Well, Bob says he.
Yeah,
he'll-
we'll add
he
that.
can
You can
add
Chris and
that.
I will work on a termination clause that will have that
Yeah.
provision.
Okay.
So the termination
Well, then I think
clause,
that's pretty
the
much in agreement
utilities.
then.
Yeah.
And what did we say we were doing about the audit?
We're gonna change that.
We're gonna soften
Change
that.
it. We'll
First
soften
of all,
it up.
financial review.
financial.
Right, whatever.
Yeah.
So they'll still be responsible for it, just won't be us by,
Right, it won't be, it'll just be a financial
Yeah.
report.
Show us
There's
your
a lot
bank
of
statement.
responsibility. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
all right,
I think
Very good.
I'm
Thank
good.
you. Other questions?
good job.
No?
Thank you very
You
much.
think that'll be
Continued
okay?
success, Dave.
Okay.
That's Chris.
What else do you have?
Okay. So we're good on that?
I think so.
All right, next on the agenda is reports and notices. Any comments or questions from the council on what you received in your package?
Yes, I'll go back to the Morris County Freeholder one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we know anything what's going on there? Because right now, or the way it used to work, you were able to call the place in Lincoln Park and drop off. Is that still going to be the way it's handled, or now that the county's getting involved, it's making it more difficult?
The place we identified as a call and drop off was a private entity,
Correct.
not part of any county service.
Is that the
I'm
place?
not aware
Yeah.
that any changes.
This is the place that the county now has had an agreement with.
Okay.
That was the call and drop off.
Oh, you're wondering how it changed since we
Right,
knew we
since
were
this
using
happened.
that and
Right.
since they took over.
Right, have we lost that ability or not?
Do we still have that ability?
I'm sure we still have it. I think that this just formalizes
What we
the
already,
relationship with them
That's what I
within
thought.
the county solid waste management.
let's just make sure that's true, but that's how I read it too.
Because I thought the last time there was something in here that said it had to go through the county.
I think they tried to make it more clear and I think it's more confusing.
Yeah.
Well, are we having the
When are they
freeholders
coming?
come here?
Yeah, when are they coming to do their budget?
We could make them explain it to us.
See, they're providing a service that, we found out about, a
We
few
told them
months
about.
ago.
Right.
And have been taking advantage of. I think now the county, what they're doing is really something it's supposed to be, because the state likes to regulate everything, it's supposed to be part of a solid waste management plan.
Okay.
So now the county is including them in our official county solid waste management.
But they're not taking it over. It doesn't become.
They're
a
not
county
taking it
facility.
over, they're just identifying them as a resource
Right.
Okay.
for this type of material.
And they're anticipating how much material they might collect, but they're not doing anything different with their process of how you drop it off, I don't think.
So we were actually ahead of our time.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Not compliant with solid waste management plan, but
Okay,
All right.
that's a good
So
thing.
is this something that we can push out to the residents, or?
Oh, we
is that
already
something-
have.
Absolutely.
We've
Yeah,
tried.
we've-
Yeah, we
But we
try,
can
we have to do a better
consistently
job
have
of
it.
it, yeah. But yeah, in here, it doesn't talk about how a resident would go about,
But it wouldn't in that plan.
but it won't in
No.
this. Right.
not in the plan. I think
So
there's
what
a
we-
copy of their,
right. And what we put out, though, the residents, that should
Would do
remain.
that. Right.
Is this for, this plan, is it for commercial and consumer?
I think so.
They're anticipating the average daily receipt of materials to be approximately 75 tons? That's a lot of TVs.
Yeah.
do you have any idea how much materials recycled through Goodwill? Over 300 million tons a year.
Wow.
Thank God it's not just being
Gotta
dropped.
figure out a way to get the gold and palladium and all the other minerals out of those things.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Yes. So,
Everybody else is good with everything else on there?
And they don't take it.
There was two other announcements, everybody's going on, okay. All right, next we're gonna move to manager's report, Dave.
Okay, the 2017 road resurfacing program is complete. We opened bids for fencing and a leaf vacuum last week. They'll be on your agenda for the 11th. Garbage collection for this coming Tuesday will be the following day, July 5th. And just update list of upcoming events and activities in town. And Dave and Kathy, you both saw the new time and date, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, for that joint study meeting, do you guys have an agenda, or if we have items? we
Yeah,
should
if you have
talk to
items,
you
you
about?
can email me. Me and Brett are working on it.
Okay.
Send him a couple items today.
All right, very good. All right, next, let's start with, how about you, Dave? You got a report?
I don't really have a report. Tomorrow night's fair housing meeting has been canceled because we do not have a quorum. I'm glad to report the grass has finally been cut at the Pequannock Post Office, and they do have someone now that's going to be taking care of that on a regular basis. I do have a question for Dave and council. The clock down by the cannon, It doesn't work.
By where?
The
Oh,
cannon.
by
The
the cannon.
cannon, yeah.
The clock down at the end of the turnpike has been fixed.
Was that the one that was put in
By
by
23?
Rotary or by,
Rotary put all of the clocks in.
yeah,
Yeah, the clock down by 23 has been fixed. It used to run on lithium batteries, and it's now been electrified, so no more batteries. They replaced the inside of the clock. It's going to be roughly $5,000 to fix the clock down by the cannon. Is that something that we are willing to take care of? I think Rotary has walked away from the clock. It's on our property. I asked the question, was the clock donated to the town when it was put there?
Yes, essentially.
You can buy a new one cheaper.
No, we can't buy
No?
it cheaper.
I think we should have a working clock. Any idea if they fix it, replace the guts and whatnot, what the warranty is? Like, what's the lifespan, I guess?
Well, who found the new company?
Lester Wilson fixed the one down here.
Okay.
Now,
There was a period of time when they weren't working and the original company had gone out of business. So it's not
Oh.
like we hadn't tried to
Right.
fix them. It was either replace them or take them, take them out.
I can pass it every day. You want me to move the needle?
we could
Yeah.
cut the cost in half. That's a four-sided clock by the cannon. We could cut the cost in half if we make it a two-sided clock and take the hands off and put Pequannock Township
Crest.
crest in the other two sides.
It'll be colorful.
probably costs more than the
It didn't
$5,000 to fix the
It
clock
gave
to
me
do
a-
that.
Could we put LED lighting in it too and have it change colors?
Solar, right? Wouldn't that cost more money?
Could we at
You're
least have a
saying-
bid for it?
No?
Can we put that out to bid, RFP?
What?
We don't
Get a
have that in
bid
our
for how much
budget.
it would
We
be?
don't have money like that in our budget.
No, but I mean, even if it, find out for next year, how much would it cost to,
Share.
An RFP for that?
how much does it cost? Is it $5,000, is it 50 grand?
Yeah, but we don't have the money in our budget. We don't
Does
just
council want the clock fixed or not?
not for $5,000.
I vote to fix it.
I don't know.
Is it something that Rotary would be willing to share the cost of? Or is that not even
That's what we-
worth bringing up?
Yeah.
I don't think so, that's why I brought it here.
I mean, I would like to have a working
Is it
clock.
really
so I-
$5,000?
I think
Let's-
Is
can
it
we do
$5,000
this?
to fix it?
I think we
Every-
should look
at the
at
hoedown.
doing it.
Save the clock.
Save the clock.
We have a lot of that. No.
Donations for saving the clock.
Doesn't the Rotary raise a lot of money? They donated us something that doesn't work? Maybe we should. How much
Yeah,
does
but
it cost?
the original company went out of business,
How
so
much does it cost to buy a new clock?
I can only.
With a
imagine.
warranty?
It's expensive. Those clocks go
There's a clock like that in Lincoln
18,
Park,
20,000.
right?
Yeah, they're expensive.
Raise the clock.
It
I
is
think
a
that's a
nice-
good idea. Have a fundraiser.
It is a nice focal point in town. I think we should try to figure out
That's where we
how-
usually stop when we don't
I
have
like
rain on
it.
Memorial Day parade or
I-
ceremony. Right?
What's the matter, Dave?
I don't like raise the funds for the clock.
Right.
That's a joke.
Like Back to the Future.
Get the clock fixed and get the clock fixed so it works.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Get more. Check out the price.
I would tend to agree with that. Let's find out how much, you
Yeah,
know.
can we find out how much and then?
Is it
we'll talk about the
$5,000?
next
Is there any
meeting.
warranty? Can we build it into the
Because it
budget?
probably costs us more
get
money
it
to
fixed?
fix the clock than it costs them to fix the
It's
clock.
like saying get the cannon
Most
fixed. Should we get the
government
cannon fixed?
Yes.
Are we good?
We're good. We solved that one.
Wow.
That's all I have.
Thank goodness.
Are we fixing the clock or are we not fixing the clock?
We are.
We're getting quotes.
Yeah.
We're getting
Fix the
quotes.
clock.
Get an idea how much and then we'll.
We're getting quotes.
We know what it is. You
We're
said it
getting
was
quotes for a clock that is no longer made
fix the clock.
by the company that makes it. We have someone that
Gave you a
has the
price.
internal parts.
Okay. Oh, okay. I missed that.
Yeah,
Then
we
fix
still
it.
have to do government purchasing, we have to do it the proper way.
I don't want it to see it to be 15 grand.
If you decide not to fix the clock, what are we gonna do with the clock?
It looks great right now. Well, it just doesn't
Just,
move.
just once a day, or twice
I didn't
a
even
day.
know it didn't
Look, we don't,
work,
we
so-
don't
Twice
want
a day
things,
is great.
we don't want, things broken right
Yeah,
now.
I think if we have an asset, it should be fixed, it should be working. I do agree. I'd just like to know how much it's gonna
Should we
make.
take a vote on this?
Sure.
Is it our asset?
I believe it is our
Yes.
asset.
Yes.
Then I think
Fix the
Should work.
clock.
you can fix it and
It-
check
it
out
should
the ones
work.
too.
Just don't let it be 15 grand.
Okay.
No, because you can buy a new one. It's
Right.
crazy.
But it should work.
If you
I
get
agree.
halfway to a new one, I mean, you say you can't, but you always have all those, there's none for sale anywhere?
Craigslist.
Ray, you say, Ryan, fix the clock, correct, if it's reasonable?
Yes,
And-
I agree.
And perhaps, I don't know if it comes with a warranty with you when you fix it, probably not. but-
9 days.
Are you okay with fixing the clock if it came in $5,000 or less?
No more than 5,000, that's a
And
lot
Dave's
of money.
good.
That's,
Yeah.
I mean, we hassle people for a lot of money, like, we had committees up here, we're hassling about all kinds of money, and then we're just like blinking an eye and just saying, fix the clock for $5,000.
But I
Well,
do agree, it should be fixed.
if it's our asset and it's a focal
Just like,
point
you know,
in the town.
If it's our clock, it should
And
be.
it-
Our clock, it should be fixed, just like our sign should look, nice.
Okay. All right, Kathy, what do you got?
The only thing I have is, the environmental committee met and we discussed the pipeline ordinance.
Mhm.
And we didn't really have much input because they felt that, just as we did, there's not a lot of meat to it and that they were kind of okay with what it was. Right, Tom? And then the question we talked about the freeholders coming to do the budget presentation. Did we reach out to them?
Yeah, I believe Carol.
I haven't gotten it organized yet.
Okay.
Yeah, if you could reach out to them and
I'll
maybe
let
get
you
the
know.
date set before you go.
That's it. I don't have anything else.
Right, and Ryan?
I have nothing to say.
Thank goodness.
Two quick things. I don't have any meetings in the past. I spoke about them last time. I do have seniors coming up. Question about food trucks. I know that we talked about this before, but are food trucks allowed in town or only at festivals?
Only at festivals. Well, that, they can get a permit, but it's
Like for a specific,
like, we do not permit a food truck to set up along 23 and sell hot
Right.
dogs, which see something.
no, I had that question, that's why I wanted to ask you. Okay, that's all.
Okay. And I just wanted to remind people about some of the upcoming events that the manager had on his list. I don't think we've read them all, so I just wanted to tell everybody, don't forget fireworks Thursday night.
Oh, yes.
June
Bleachers are
29th.
closed, right? Or they will be?
The
The bleachers are
The
closed.
large bleachers on the primary field are closed. Oh, yes.
Large and
Are
small.
Yeah, because they're being
Redone.
redone, so. Everybody bring lawn chairs.
Bring a chair.
Bring a chair.
Or a fire truck.
And the only other thing I have is, tomorrow night is our Economic Development Committee. That meets at 7:30. And I'm trying to think of anything else. No, the library board met. I probably just want to give you an update that, if you remember a while ago, they had gone out for quotes for replacing the sign in the front. But the quotes came in a little bit higher than they thought, so they decided to use the existing sign. And they got a wonderful price just to use the existing sign to then put a message board with it.
Will I have a working clock?
So, so my understanding is that,
Are they putting in a digital sign?
no, it's just,
Update it.
you're not familiar with that? You're
No,
looking at
I'm
me like,
familiar with it.
I mean, is this,
Okay.
is it something we need to, yeah.
Well, I thought that the old sign was kind of coming apart.
Well, no, I think they're raising that sign up, or they said they were gonna reinforce that sign and add a message board. So, as long as we were okay with that?
I'm fine with it.
Everybody's fine with
Yeah,
it,
it's
right?
great.
Okay,
It
good.
doesn't cost us anything.
Exactly. All right. Other than that, I think we're good. Next on the agenda is, do we have,
I think you're reopening it for public.
where are we now?
Public comment.
We weren't, public comment. So if anyone in the audience wishes to address the council, please come up to the podium. Yes.
Good evening, Jordan Galliano on 10 Peck Avenue, Pompton Plains. I just want to thank everyone on council for approving the skate park bid. This has been a long time coming, and I'm sure Mrs. Winfield is very joyous about this. From 10 years ago, never thought that it would come to this point, and I would also like to thank Mr. Hallberg for all the hard work that he's put into this project. And without all of you here to hear all of our input and opinions on this project, it wouldn't have happened without all of your support and effort. So I would love to thank all of you very much.
When is your next skating lessons?
Skate lessons, I have to check my phone, so I can't remember off the top of my head. We are doing skate lessons July 19th and 26th from 6 to 7 o'clock in Greenview Park, and then we are also doing them, is it August 2nd and August 16th as well.
Excellent.
So 4 weeks we are doing them. And we are doing them with Skate Now. It's a local skateboarding lessons program. And so they're going to be helping us supply, doing like games with kids, doing lessons and fun activities with them as well.
Same time in August as in July in location?
Yes, yeah, same time. Yeah.
And I think you have people already signed up.
Yeah, I think we have 4 or 5 so far, but hopefully we'll have more.
And is there an age limit, meaning young or?
Even you can sign up.
I'm sending all 3 of my kids over there.
Okay,
Yeah,
you should.
awesome. Yeah, Steve would know more of the particulars on that since he talked with Evan to set up the lessons. But I can get the information for you.
I'm sure you
Just
give a
wondering.
sibling discount.
Yeah, figure something out.
Do you need a skateboard?
We will have skateboards supplied if the kids do not have skateboards.
Helmets.
And helmets, yeah. We can supply those as well.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No, that's it. Okay, next on the agenda, we don't have any approval of minutes this evening, I don't believe,
Well,
right?
Carol did send out
Did
minutes
she?
from 2014.
Oh, that's right.
Did I not put it in the script?
No, you stopped the script after the council
I think the printer
reports.
ran out, sorry.
Yeah, you're on your own.
I got copies of them.
I don't know, did everybody read them? Do you want to make a motion?
Well,
Do you want to
okay,
wait?
I was not here for one of them, so I can only,
I have to abstain. I wasn't
you
here
were
for any
here,
of them.
yeah.
Do you want to wait and do them the next meeting when everybody's here?
We can do it now, why don't we?
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to, Carol, was I at all of them?
Well, that's fine, let's make sure. Yeah.
I missed
If
one.
everyone says they will abstain from those meetings they didn't
Yes,
attend, that's
yeah.
fine.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes, but I will abstain for the ones that I was not at, in case I was not at one of them.
Can I have a second on this?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, executive, we're going to go into executive closed session, correct? So,
No.
go ahead.
No, we don't
I
have-
don't.
Wait.
Oh, we don't have.
That was for
It
my
says
review,
personnel.
but I don't think it's,
Oh.
No, that's not.
I don't think we're far enough to do anything that we need to do. in
No, we
closed
did
minutes.
start, yeah, but we're.
Okay,
no, we're-
so we don't have anything for closed
No.
All
session.
right, so we don't have anything for closed session,
Sure.
so I'll ask for a motion.
I'll make a
Make that
motion to
motion.
adjourn.
Second? Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.